Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for this Wednesday, June 29th. This is Basil Numerjitsky. In terms of our impacts, we are expecting another round of thunderstorm activity, mixed wet and dry across a good portion of Nevada, western Utah, getting into southern Idaho. However, with deepening moisture coming up from the south and pushing into our eastern areas, we will see a trend towards wetter storms with more rainfall. The other condition to be concerned about are strong gusty outflow winds. Yesterday we had gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour in the vicinity of these thunderstorm clusters. We expect the same for today and into the next couple of days. Now looking at 24 hours, lightning activity, quite widespread, intense across parts of southern Nevada and towards the Arizona Strip, and spreading across a good portion of Utah and into the southern half of Nevada, and even a few isolated strikes further north into Idaho. On the right-hand side, precipitation, most of it in that first shade of blue, which is just a few hundredths of an inch to less than a quarter inch. The really good wetting rains you'll see in those darker shades of blue, some of those pin drops down further to the south and to the east. And we've had more fire activity, new starts given by those red circles, existing fires in the yellow circles, so definitely an increase with that lightning. Now, leading up to this event, we've been fairly dry on the left-hand side the past 7 days. Most areas have not received any precipitation. We were in a very hot and dry pattern. On the right-hand side, over the past 14 days, again, Utah, Nevada, Arizona Strip were bone dry. Only areas that had decent precipitation given by these green shades, which is basically a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch, were the mountains of central Idaho and getting into parts of western Wyoming. So taking a look at our current field conditions in terms of ERCs, you can see that across Utah we've seen a rapid drying. We've seen ERCs rising up into the 70th and 80th percentile, approaching the 90th percentile in some of those red circles. A moderate drying in other areas, still some lingering moist spots across parts of central eastern Nevada. And that was from precipitation maybe 15, 16 days ago, but they'll be moistening up even more as we get some wetter storms coming on through. So a mix of fuel conditions across the area. Taking a look at live fuel moisture, you can see that across Nevada here in Wells, they are down near record levels. Similarly for parts of central Utah, this is sagebrush getting down towards record levels. So in parts of our area, the live fuel moistures in the sagebrush are dry enough to support fire moving through them, but there are some exceptions up in the foothills of the Uintas. The sagebrush is basically up just above normal, so not all areas will be affected. The further north and east you go, the live fuel moistures are considerably higher. Looking at our upper level map with satellite imagery superimposed, we're under a big ridge of high pressure. There's a center off the Pacific, and there's also an unseen center that's basically right along the four corners, and that's starting to produce a counterclockwise push of some of that monsoonal moisture, the real first good push of the season. You can see that moisture pushing all the way up deepest across southern Arizona into Mexico, but a good portion now into most of Utah and part of Nevada. A bit of a dry punch. You can see sliding in from Southern California into far southwestern Nevada, and that could pose some problems with that drier air and more sunshine hitting areas that received lightning late yesterday. So for today, we have significant fire potential conditions with high risk across parts of Nevada, Utah, into southern Idaho. You notice that this risk area is pushing further north from where we had it yesterday. Southern areas are starting to see a little bit more moisture. Also into the lower elevations of the Uinta Basin, where some of the grasses are starting to cure on out. In terms of weather conditions, we'll see that where we're expecting shower and thunderstorm activity given by the green areas, pushing on to the east and north. On the right-hand side are wind gusts, and you can see that some of these orange and purple shades are wind gusts of 35 to 45 miles per hour. And these circular motions, these are outflow boundaries from thunderstorms. We had some strong gusts from these outflow boundaries near 50 miles an hour across parts of Utah and Nevada yesterday. And just ahead of where these clusters are moving, we'll see these outflow boundaries again today, so something to keep in mind. Surface humidity still a bit on the dry side. Now for tomorrow, Thursday, on the left we see that our upper level map shows a lot of moisture given by the dark and green shades, deeper moisture just to our south, so we'll start seeing that shower and thunderstorm activity and that lightning spreading further north. On the right hand side you can see that as well, with the high risk for lightning pushing into southern Idaho and still hanging across northwestern Utah and parts of adjacent Nevada. Further south we'll have lightning, but you notice that with those wetting rains in southeastern Utah, a lot of the PSAs are shading over to green or well into the yellow. If we look at weather conditions, again given by the shades of green where you have showers and isolated lightning, a better chance of lightning where you see those darker green areas, and some of those could contain some locally heavy rains. On the right hand side, relative humidity still dry across western Nevada in the single digits, but as you get towards points further east, you can see upper teens to near 20% or so, or a little bit higher in those green shades. So that's where the humidity is starting to come up a little bit from some of that rainfall reaching the ground. Now looking for Friday, July 1st, we can see across the Great Basin, still in that dark to patchy green area. That indicates our best chance of thunderstorm activity with a deeper atmospheric moisture. You can see the dry punch starting to kick through across parts of southwestern Nevada. I'll have to watch and see how much lightning occurs in that area. That could bring in more sunshine and drier conditions. Again, the deeper moisture as you head further to the east. On the right-hand side, we don't expect any significant lightning to cause any problems because of the increasing moisture. More of our PSAs are going into that yellow to green category. And then looking further down the road for weather conditions, on the left-hand side, still the chances of showers and some isolated lightning in the green. On the right-hand side, humidity levels, even though they're near 10% or upper single digits across western Nevada, places in eastern Nevada into Utah that will be getting more lightning over the next couple of days. You can see the humidity levels between 15 and 20% across Nevada, getting into the 20s as you go into Utah. So that's about maybe 10 or 15% above normal, maybe even closer to 30. So conditions should be moistening up, diminishing the risk of rapid growth of any fires from the lightning. That's not to say you won't have a lot of IA with starts, but they shouldn't move as rapidly by the time we get into Friday. Our 3-day precipitation totals, you can see that we have some amounts near a quarter inch eastern Nevada into parts of southern Utah. And these bluish shades through here indicate the heaviest amounts, somewhere between a half inch, 3/4, and maybe even an inch, and that goes into western Wyoming as well. Drier amounts on the outer peripheries. So if we look further down the road for Saturday, July 2nd, you can see still some lingering moisture through here, so we'll see another round of shower and thunderstorm activity, but it should start diminishing a bit. There's a weak low moving into California, pushing some drier air in. You can see our PSAs, especially eastern areas, have responded to several days of rainfall. As we go into Sunday, we notice that we're getting drier air now overspreading from the west. You can buy those tannish shades. That's humidity levels probably 30% or drier in the atmosphere. But these darker to green shades, that's atmospheric humidity of 50 to 75%. So still maybe some lingering isolated shower or thunderstorm activity. You can see PSAs, the driest across Nevada, the wettest across eastern areas. And as we go further down the road to Monday, you can see that still some lingering moisture through here, but we're starting to dry out a little bit. You can see some of the PSAs in southeast Utah are getting back to moderately dry levels. And then by the time we get into Tuesday, a good push of drier air into Nevada, parts of southwest Utah. Our PSAs do start drying out, but our far eastern areas, which will get the most rainfall, will still continue in the moist category. And our precipitation accumulation, you can see that totals by the end of this event will be a widespread half-inch to an inch across the Wasatch Mountains and southern Utah, and anywhere from a quarter to a half-inch where you see that darker shade of green. Other areas just scattered light rainfall amounts. And looking at our 8 to 14 day outlook for the following week, On the left, temperatures, we stay well above normal. We don't see another significant push of moisture. We're kind of seasonable, maybe some isolated shower type activity. There's actually a drier signal pushing into the Pacific Northwest and into parts of Idaho. This concludes our briefing. Have a safe day.